Welcome, dear listeners, if such mortal ears may withstand the revelations to come, to yet another sinister broadcast of Science Fiction Now. I am Colin Holmes, your trembling guide through cosmic corridors no sane mind was meant to tread. Tonight, we venture once again into the drifting remains of that accursed orbital labyrinth known as Rama. Imagine not a tranquil salvage prospect, nor a mere alien husk resigned to oblivion. Nay, Rama is an unsleeping enigma of monstrous scope and nameless purpose, exuding energies so uncanny that even the Interstellar Frontier Authority balks at formal study. The swirling wreckage, gnarled and cyclopean, taunts explorers with half-glimpsed shapes, whispering in frantic undertones that scratch at the subconscious. If you dare linger, you shall find something far worse than silent machinery awaiting you within those twisted halls. None who have witnessed Rama firsthand would call it wreckage without hesitation. Indeed, it is a swirling gyre of unearthly debris, vast plates of tarnished alloy rotating on impossible axes, as though guided by some primeval intelligence that loathes the intrusion of mortal eyes. Salvage crews who approached too closely spoke in hushed terror of shifting corridors that opened and sealed without warning. They reported glimpses of a seething mechanical presence prowling behind every beam, a presence that seemed to watch and judge. Many never returned, leaving behind static-laced transmissions that echo with pleas and half-coherent shrieks. Mark my words, Rama is no languid corpse of a vessel. It is a paradox of living metal and cosmic dread, punishing any who tread too boldly in its domain. Yet officialdom still attempts a veneer of composure. The Interstellar Frontier Authority sends forth polite advisories warning potential explorers to proceed with extreme caution, which is but a bureaucratic euphemism for their inability to fathom the horrors lurking inside. But humankind has ever been enthralled by the unknown, no matter how deadly its allure. Indeed, entire crews have vanished in their quest to unearth secrets from a relic older than our entire spacefaring history. A relic that could harbor powers we cannot imagine, nor should we. And so the bravest, or most foolhardy, pilot their ships to Rama's yawning apertures, hoping to glimpse truths that might upend every cherished pillar of human reasoning. Within Rama's halls lies a domain of maddening geometry and eldritch symmetries. Corridors twist at angles that defy mortal logic, shifting underfoot like intestines in some gargantuan beast. Runic glyphs, glowing in sickly hues of blue and violet, crawl across the metallic surfaces, throbbing in time with your panicked heartbeat. Every hiss of escaping gas or rasp of shifting metal feels laden with ominous intent. One can scarcely take a step without glimpsing new depths of unnatural wonders. Exhaust vents exhaling puffs of stale, ancient oxygen that makes the lungs burn with dread, or panels that collapse into themselves only to reappear a moment later in entirely different locations, as if Rama is deciding how best to confound your path. Rumors now abound of a dreadful place dubbed the Fleshmorph Archives, a hidden repository where bits of organic tissue, harvested from countless ill-fated travelers, have been fused to mechanical implements and sealed within transparent, stasis-like canisters. One salvage operative, driven half-mad by what he saw, swore he glimpsed an entire row of severed arms and legs, grafted onto metal skeletons, each limb twitching under the influence of minuscule electric currents. Farther in, the archive supposedly holds entire torsos, faces, and other indescribable tissues, each encased in thick glass tubes brimming with murky fluid. In these half-living exhibits, Rama appears to catalogue the biological essence of its victims, as though it seeks to reverse engineer or refine life itself. I must stress that no official expedition has confirmed these abominations, yet the mounting testimonies speak of horrors beyond all earthly nightmares. Of all the newly revealed nightmares, there is none so insidiously unnerving as the Chamber of Resonant Echoes. Explorers speak of a corridor that abruptly widens into a domed chamber where every footstep, nay, every heartbeat, births a rippling cascade of echoes. These echoes grow louder, more complex, until they transform into a reverberant chorus that claws at the mind. The afflicted describe sensations of being laid bare by unseen watchers, each echo dredging up distant recollections of guilt or fear. It is as if Rama uses resonance not merely for acoustic effect, but to penetrate one's psychological defenses. Some claim the chamber eventually speaks back in an alien tongue, matching the rhythms of the visitor's breathing and thoughts, weaving a horrific communion between the intruder's conscience and whatever malevolent presence animates the station's depths. More frightening still are the abrupt failings of technology in these labyrinthine corridors. Stalwart doors snap shut with a speed that borders on malevolent cunning, sealing away the unwary in lightless pockets of half-operational gravity. Communication lines sputter and die in inexplicable static. Helmet lamps flicker like waning candles in a tomb. Veteran explorers, men and women unflinching before cosmic storms, have found themselves banging against impenetrable bulkheads, their screams stifled by a swirling darkness that seems to press from all directions. Their last transmitted words often carry a note of frenzied disbelief, as though they simply cannot accept that Rama's very fabric is twisting to ensnare them. Nor can one forget the malformed watchers skulking among the girders, reptilian automatons clad in sleek, metallic plating that glints like polished obsidian. Their magnetized claws allow them to traverse walls and ceilings with predatory agility. Whispers abound that they are the abhorrent spawn of Rama's original creators, hybridizations of robotics and gene-spliced monstrosities. Reports of their coordinated tactics abound, a diversion in one corridor, followed by a silent pounce from another. Some survivors recall seeing flickers of intelligence in the creature's luminous eyes, as though they were observing and learning with each confrontation. One shudders to think what experiments such abominations might conduct upon the living flesh they steal. Layered atop these horrors are Rama's ancient defense nodes, dormant sentinels that awaken at the faintest provocation. Walls lined with concealed turrets unleash blazing beams, capable of slicing entire corridors in half. Localized gravity surges send unsuspecting trespassers careening into jagged walls. It is as though every bolt of metal or circuit beneath Rama's domain resonates with a single cosmic heartbeat, punishing those whose curiosity oversteps the bounds of sanity. The lucky ones perish swiftly, while the less fortunate remain trapped, drifting through corridors choked with the embers of dying flares. Over the years, the debris field itself has gained a fearful reputation for devouring entire expeditions, like a leviathan savoring the ephemeral tang of mortal bravery. Yet physical entrapment is only one facet of Rama's arcane arsenal. Increasingly credible reports describe entire sections where spatial anomalies and paradox corridors confound both sense and instrumentation. Doors open onto the same passage one has just left. Only the lighting and layout may have altered inexplicably. Some corridors seem endless, looping back on themselves until the victim collapses in hopeless exhaustion. An explorer might pass a companion's location mere seconds after leaving it, yet discover they have traveled hours or days according to their timepieces. A handful of returned salvagers ramble about fleeting glimpses of themselves in the distance, as though they crossed paths with some paradoxical echo of their own existence. That Rama can distort time and space is the pinnacle of cosmic offense, suggesting that we are but stumbling children in a realm ruled by a geometry far beyond human comprehension. Furthermore, we must not ignore whispers of a symbiotic psychic hive believed to dwell in unseen alcoves. These rumors paint an unsettling portrait of mind-probing nodes embedded throughout Rama, each node pulsing with intangible signals. Those who wander into their sphere of influence report sudden migraines followed by vivid, surreal visions. Alien worlds with black suns, colossal silhouettes slithering among ruins older than human memory, and sickening revelations about our place in a universe governed by forces that regard our existence as trivial. Worse yet, some explorers awaken to find that, in their delirium, they have recorded messages in an alien script, a script matching the runes carved into Rama's corridors. One can only shudder at what infiltration of the mind might truly portend, if Rama can bend our thoughts and desires to its unknowable ends. As if these terrors were insufficient, certain diaries speak of unseen constructors, small, arachnoid drones that materialize in the darkest hours of the station's perpetual twilight. They skitter about on multi-jointed limbs, quietly repairing walls and reassembling debris as if orchestrating a grand design. Entire bulkheads shift overnight. Sections that were collapsed become traversable by dawn. Yet none have captured more than fleeting glimpses of these constructors. The moment an explorer's flashlight beams upon them, they scatter with chittering clicks into vents or nooks unknown. Many posit these creations to be the caretakers of Rama, ensuring its never-ending evolution. Others believe they are limbs of a singular consciousness, as integral to the station's alien biology as cells to a living organism. And so we arrive at the whispered epicenter of this nightmare's cape. The fabled Central Cortex, described as a monstrous tangle of cables, steel plating, and throbbing organic matter lit by an infernal green luminescence. Some name it the slumbering mind of Rama, while others view it as a womb, stewing half-formed horrors intended for release upon the unsuspecting cosmos. Woe befall the souls who wander too close to this seat of intangible power, for indescribable voices slither into human consciousness, dissolving even the bravest spirit in a mire of confusion and despair. Those who resurface speak in broken phrases of revelations too vast for mortal ken, weeping at the memory of their own insignificance in the face of Rama's cosmic design. Thus concludes our extended descent into this galactic abomination. You have been listening to Science Fiction Now, where we dare to peel back the starry veil and confront monstrosities that breach our fragile comprehension. I, Colin Holmes, entreat you, do not take my words lightly, for Rama is so much more than inert space junk. It is a living, evolving labyrinth that accumulates knowledge, flesh, and very possibly our souls to serve its inscrutable ends. Let these accounts stand as both testament and warning, for who can say what grisly secrets slumber within that silent wreck, waiting to be awakened by the foolhardy or the unwary. If you must gaze upon the cosmic void, do so with a heart fortified against the boundless horrors that lurk beyond our mortal coil. And should you ever find yourself crossing the threshold into Rama's domain, may the fragile fortress of your reason remain unshaken, lest you be subsumed into the station's ungodly mosaic, never to return. Never to return.